All right. We got Can Monster Hunter Wilds Become an MMO by your boy X Zagur. I am saying that every time wrong. I am so sorry, dude. Okay, but let me see. Let me see.
I think the problem is that people are trying to make an MMO in the same way that you made MMOs in 2000s. And
Oh, opening up with the clip from the bald guy. Yeah, that's fine. Um,
like, I think the future of MMOs are going to be games like Monster Hunter. They're going to be
yeah.
games like Grand Blue Fantasy Relink.
So I don't know anything about Grand Blue Fantasy, but I like the entirety of Monster Hunter World. I played it once for like 400 hours and played it again for like another 400 hours on a completely separate character. I think that game is awesome.
Where they're multiplayer online games, but you don't need to constantly play with other people all of the time.
Yeah.
I think that like MMOs should shift from everything requires a group and like that mindset to shared world that people can cooperate in or not. I'm actually really excited to see what's going to happen with Monster Hunter Wilds.
Yeah.
Because I hope they're able to innovate that a bit farther.
Good start. And honestly, I would probably agree with Asmon on this one. Um, the fact that you can play the entirety of Monster Hunter World by yourself, I think is really cool. You know, towards the end game with like the tippy top last bosses, it gets kind of like difficult with like the last couple monsters and whatever, but I don't know, that's fine. But like for 99% of the game, I think the difficulty is great. I love all the weapons. I love like, and understandably, like Monster Hunter World is the most casual friendly version of Monster Hunter. I mean, from what I'm told, because I didn't play any of the other Monster Hunters up until World's First. So I like the fact that you can call in like little SOSs and be like, "Boys, help me out!" Chink, and the like when more people come in, the difficulty scales up. But I do not like the fact that it only scales in like 1, 3, and 4. I think there's no like a two-player scaled version. Like if you go in to or is it 1, 3, and 4, or is it like just 1 and 4? Because if you only go in with two people, I think you're only going up against you are going up against the four-player version of the monster, which is kind of annoying. It's like, can you guys just like add some extra numbers and add like a two-person stat block, a three-person stat block, or whatever? Because like, if I want to just play with like my boy, like, come on, why are you fucking me?
Being amongst the most successful genres around the globe since the early 90s, MMORPGs are extremely popular even to this day and greatly cherished by millions of people. World of Warcraft,
Yep.
Final Fantasy XIV, RuneScape, Black Desert, Guild Wars 2, and many others across the internet are home to an insurmountable amount of players, despite the majority of them being extremely old in the world of gaming.
Yeah.
But it is clear that the industry is shifting its focus in other directions.
Was that Destiny? Yeah.
For the past 15 years that MOBAs, survival, battle royales, extraction and gacha titles started slowly but surely taking the spotlight, resulting in MMOs not only being less played in general due to the influx of games available, but also less appealing for both developers and especially publishers.
Mm-hmm.
Though, let's be honest here, the last part has been happening way before the current major hits were even a thing.
Yeah.
Right after the explosive arrival and cosmic rise of WoW in the early 2000s, everyone was after it. For over an entire decade.
I mean, yeah, from like the beginning of TBC, like whenever World of Warcraft first came out and I saw like the sticker, like it was like a little gold sticker on like the box cover of like the World of Warcraft CD case. Every time I would go into like what was it, EB Games, the sticker would always be going up. So more and more people were just being aware of it. It'd be like 6 million, 7 million, 8 million, 9 million. And then the 10 million one came out. I was like, oh, that's badass. And every other MMO has literally tried to take down World of Warcraft. Is this MMO the next WoW killer? Is this the next WoW killer MMO? So on and so forth for like the inception and the popularity of WoW since it started.
Literal hundreds of what the common folk call WoW clones were created. And that broad but very well known.
No, in the beginning they were called WoW killers. Is this the next WoW killer? And eventually, when it did fall off, it was be like, oh, this game's dead.
Term perfectly describes what they truly are. They are trend chasers.
Yeah.
The outcome of companies seeing someone break the mold, surpassing every metric possible, and perceiving such as an opportunity for short-term gain with minimal effort.
Oh, okay. So the trend chaser versus the trend setter. Okay, I like this little dichotomy. And what we have with Monster Hunter is a trend setting IP, essentially. You can make the argument of like, oh, the one guy versus the big boss has been around since like Dark Souls, and probably before then, before Dark Souls, but you know, Dark Souls popularized it, and Monster Hunter just did that, but with monsters. Well, like animalistic monsters instead of like demons and shit with like in the Dark Souls universe and whatnot. And the thing that separates Monster Hunter from like the Souls likes, even though there is a lot of overlap, is the amount of and attention to detail that the developers put into like all the animations, the hitboxes, the timings of all the weapons, all the monster attacks, and so on and so forth. The damage system, that like the core game loop of Monster Hunter, I think is just so well done, and they've spent so much time on it. It's awesome. I love it.
This particular phenomenon is not.
And honestly, you know, within like the whole Monster Hunter genre, there have been a couple Monster Hunter clones that have came out that have tried to, you know, take a chunk, you know, out of the Monster Hunter, you know, what do you call it, like community or whatever, like to some success. I mean, I forgot what fucking games it was that like. There's only been like maybe a handful of like Monster Hunter clones that I can think of, like less than a handful. I forgot the names of them though, but like the like if I were to try, if let's say EA or Blizzard tries to come out with a whole Monster Hunter clone type game, I don't think they could do it. There's no fucking way. The amount of time that they've put into just the whole game is just ridiculous. And like Monster Hunter World is like the 5th iteration of it. All right, so they've had tons of other times to you know, trial and error weapons, moves, game systems, monsters, monster attacks, things that feel good and are that there's a little bit of counterplay to, and so on and so forth. I don't think Monster Hunter is a type of game that any AAA dev can just simply copy paste or like, you know, steal and do a little twist to make it better. Like, I don't think so.
Exclusive to a specific game or even genre. It happened to Pokemon, Age of Empires, Call of Duty, Minecraft, League of Legends, Fortnite, and suffice to say that will keep happening in the future. Blizzard's most recognizable game was emulated by many because of its quality as well as the unparalleled gameplay experience it provided, which gave it the title of most played MMORPG of all time.
Yeah.
All those companies were fighting for a piece of that massive pie. But that time is now gone. And despite brand new titles being released every so often, the crazy gold rush that peaked in the late 2000s is over.
And there's only like 2 real MMOs at this point. Well, I say real, but like when I say real, I mean there's only 2 like popular MMOs. It's World of Warcraft and Final Fantasy.
And with the slow decline of this once behemoth, fans of the genre now patiently but desperately wait for the next big MMO to arrive.
Hell yeah, brother. I mean, I'm waiting for Ashes of Creation. I'm watching all those little like dev updates once in a while. Yeah, they look Ashes of Creation does look good. I love that they're being transparent throughout like the entire like work process of it too. I think that's awesome.
However, things are not the same anymore. Right now, video games are becoming the most diverse, expansive, and commonplace than ever before.
Yeah.
The
Video games are, depending on like what level you're looking at of video games, a triple A, double A, or single A, whatever, like indie, like a lot of triple A developers, their idea and theme of a lot of games that are just coming out is like the universe that they want the player to be immersed in is just simply too massive, in my opinion. So much to the point to where it's detrimental to the player experience. Look at Starfield, look at in the beginning No Man's Skies, but apparently No Man's Skies is good now. What else? There's a bunch of other games. I just can't think of any on top of my head. But I don't know, there's this like theme where developers want to give the player the idea of like infinite possibility and just go anywhere, do anything. But me as a player, it's like I don't want to go everywhere. I don't want to do everything, anything, everything. I just want to be immersed in my little story in my own little fishbowl. All right, look at a lot of popular single player games. God of War, Red Dead Redemption, Mass Effect, BioShock. That's not a go everywhere, do everything type of game. You're essentially in a little sandbox. But the sandbox is about yay big or yay wide and yay deep. All right. I don't want to play a video game that's as wide as a fucking ocean, but as thin as a fucking puddle.
Dozens of fresh new ideas become available to consumers every single day. We reach a time in history when we legitimately have access to virtually infinite amount of content.
Seemingly.
Growing,
yeah.
Changing, experimenting, innovating. And just how trends are born or evolve from this continuous flow, so do the genres themselves. The truth is, traditional MMOs are simply not made anymore.
Yeah.
They are ridiculously expensive, require way too many years to develop, and due to those factors, publishers that heavily invest on them and want to profit force safe, reliable, and established design philosophies to maximize their chances of success. But we all know that in the end, all that comes from that are uninspired, unfinished, unoptimized, and lackluster products.
Yeah, I mean, because when a lot of those MMOs come out, they are in a state of what I would call minimum viable product. They're not completely optimized. There's no catch-up mechanics. There's there's still like a bunch of bugs in the games or whatever. Like, and it's like the game's not even good until like season 4 or 5 or 6 or whatever. It's not good until a year later. It's not good until 2 years later. It's like, it's ridiculous to expect the player to wait around and play the game on day one when it's in minimum viable product state, and for them to hope they'll stay around for like a year or two playing your dog shit game is just ridiculous to me.
Of course, there are some exceptions to that, but they confirm the rule rather than refuting it. The MMORPGs of today are not only vastly different from how they were built 20 years ago, but also way more diverse.
Yeah.
With some of them being substantially different than the quote-unquote traditional formula, so different that they may be almost unrecognizable.
Really?
With the reveal of Monster Hunter Wilds back in December, we learned that this specific entry is by far the most ambitious one in the series.
Yeah, it is.
hinting for a possible open world as well as the confirmation of an improved and more detailed set of ecosystems within it.
Yeah.
And said ambition might imply enhancements to many features we commonly see in these titles.
So, what Wilds seems like to me as an initial knee-jerk thought is you take the world of Dragon's Dogma, tone the verticality down a little bit, make it so there's not as many like impassable walls and hallways in the game, through like the use of mountains and shit. They have toned the verticality down, added a lot more rolling plains, added some hills and shit, gave you a mount, what is what you fucking should have had in Dragon's Dogma. And they have put a lot of monsters in just the world, it seems.
The franchise was already somewhat co-op focused, and
Yeah.
therefore pretty social all things considered. Cooperation was highly encouraged in-game, and the community in general is surprisingly friendly and healthy.
Oh, yeah.
World took that even further.
I think, well, when I was playing Monster Hunter World, people didn't really give a shit about carrying or being carried. There was a lot of times where people that were in just straight like Safi Jiva armor would come down and like help me as I'm on like a story quest or some shit or whatever. Or if I'm trying to do like an event quest or something like that, and I just like pop off a flare, people with like these like high tier armor and weapons would just be like, yo, let me help. And yeah, I thought that was the coolest thing. Seldom have I ever had like a bad experience in Monster Hunter when it comes to like co-op and things like that.
Further by allowing a maximum of 16 players to interact with each other per gathering hub. If it ends up being true that fans will have a fully fledged open world to explore and that many gameplay elements will indeed be expanded upon, including social features, the potential of the game becoming an MMO does exist.
Yeah.
So assuming that both
But an MMO in what sense?
parameters I just mentioned are accurate, then can Wilds eventually become one? Actually, here's an even better question.
If you're hoping that, okay, so here's what I would hope. I would hope that I would not want a World of Warcraft version of Monster Hunter Wilds. I just simply do not want that. As a matter of fact, I actually like going out. I liked the whole hub system, and if I want to go to a quest, I'll go to like one of the, what was it, like 6 or 7 sandboxes, forest, desert, lava place, what else, the coral place, what was it, like the Elder's Recess or whatever. I liked going out to each little sandbox and hunting a different monster, because to me that's like extremely casual friendly. You can spend anywhere from 5 minutes to 45 minutes fighting a monster, and you have to allow that range of error in this game, because you're just simply fighting a single monster for the most part. It'll engage you, it'll run off, it'll cause you to cart back a couple times. You have to go back, reassess. Maybe if you are just like a newer player at the game, you go back to the tent. You what was it? What was that item where you like instant teleport back to the tent or whatever? Maybe you have to do that a couple times. I mean, yeah, I think it's very casual friendly.
What exactly is an MMO? The acronym stands for Massively Multiplayer Online, which, thinking it to the letter, makes it a rather vague categorization if we really think about it.
Yeah.
We know when a game is online. We know when it has multiplayer. But what classifies one as massive?
Oh, that's a good question. Massive. I mean, because like if you ask me like what a massive multiplayer online is, you say massive, I think conventional like MMO, like World of Warcraft, thousands of people on a single server. And if you go to like the main city, you can see hundreds of people. Or if you go out in the world, you'll see like a couple hundred, like some people just roaming around, leveling and whatnot. Um, do I want that for Monster Hunter Wilds? Do I want to go out into like a random desert zone and see like 10 people fighting a Barioth or a Devil Joe or something like that? Or I don't really want to see that. I really don't, because it takes away the I don't know, the uniqueness of a fight. It's like all the numbers would like just scale differently. Like how are you gonna have 10 people like whipping out all their weapon attacks on like a monster like that? I think these monsters are designed around like 4 players to be beaten on it at max.
Is 1,000 people per server massive? What about 500, 100, 2,000 or 3,000? Do they have to be all in one instance? How many servers can they have to fit the classification?
Yeah.
Is there a limit? What's the precise number that determines if an online multiplayer title is also massive?
What number is that? I have no idea, but also why that number is, I think, important. If you say like, let's just say like 1,000, like if you say like 1,000, like 1,000 people, like physically seeing 1,000 people on your screen, that seems like massive. Well, to be honest, even a lesser number, seeing like 100 other people on my screen, like if I were to like sit down, like in not Dragon's Dogma, Monster Hunter Wild, like I'm sitting on top of a cliff, and there's like 99 other people staring back at me, I would think that's pretty massive. Even 100 people just staring back at me. It doesn't have to be this like weird, oh, there's like 5,000 players on the server, but at any given time that you might see like maybe like 30, 40, 50 people in the city, and then another sprinkling out in the forest place, another 50 in like the desert place. It's like, if even 100 people can seem like really massive, dude. And why is that? It's because it's like if I'm sitting there playing Monster Hunter and I'm doing like my attacks, for me to fathom 99 other people doing all of their things, that seems like ridiculous to me. Like I can't keep track of that many things. So that to me is massive.
The truth is, that number doesn't exist.
Yeah.
There is no cap nor minimum. The population volume doesn't really matter even. What counts and what people want from them is how the game uses social features to cause human interaction and to what extent. Here's a good example. Genshin Impact, an extremely popular RPG gacha title ever since its debut in September 2020, played by over 60 million users.
That's crazy.
Single month.
That's fucking crazy. Bro, Genshin Impact is insane.
Is it online? Yes. Does it have multiplayer? Yes. It even has a beautifully well-crafted open world.
Mm-hmm.
But is it an MMO? No. Why? Because Genshin does not work around its online features. Friends can certainly play with each other, and even randoms can join your session if you so wish. But outside of that, the game itself heavily limits what you can do in a group.
Oh, wow.
Not only you can have above 4 people in your lobby, including yourself, the activities you can perform with them are also highly restricted.
Alright.
This title is very narrative focused, meaning that most of its content is around the numerous quests we unlock and complete throughout our journey. Quests where co-op is not allowed.
Oh.
This means that a major percentage of the entire game is locked for everyone the moment you enable multiplayer, including the host. And as a result, despite having multiplayer, Genshin provides a very isolated experience by design.
Dang.
But we all know that.
I didn't know that.
We are already expecting it to be isolating. Why? because the game is advertised not as an MMO, but as a single-player RPG, and we can see that through trailers and gameplay footage. What MiHoYo promotes are the characters, the events, and the story, not co-op. So even though the game has the fundamental pillars of a massively multiplayer online title, it cannot be considered as one because those same pillars are not focused on.
Alright.
Now, here's a thought experiment. Imagine this. Let's say that we pick Genshin just the way it is at the moment. But we put 100 people on a single server. And you could interact with each other, play minigames, complete quests together, farm resources together, trade, see people roaming around the map doing random stuff. Imagine all of that. And then, I ask you, does Genshin sound like an MMO now?
I think it would.
I bet it does. Even though it's just 100 people, mind you.
Yeah.
You know why? Because that's the true core essence of a massively multiplayer online game. The first M is not about the amount of players, but rather the amount of content you can engage with others. And sometimes it's not even that. Just being able to see other players around you is enough for many people. The genre is all about socialization in its purest form. Monster Hunter World actually got decently close to that. If you enter the populated gathering hub, it really felt like MMO at times.
Yeah, the gathering hub was awesome. It was like the one time I could actually see my buddy, like, because like I found like my one friend while I was playing Monster Hunter, and I don't know, since we found like we found each other, it's like every Monster Hunter, like we've just been playing, and then once we realized that, oh, once you go in the hub you can actually see each other, I was like, oh dang, this is really cool. So I mean, yeah, I would 100% agree. Just merely being able to like see the other person like move around and shit is just simply enough. I mean, you know, you hit enter, you type some shit, and yeah.
A bunch of hunters drinking beer, showing off their fashion set, planning sieges, or just talking to each other. Man, that was great. But the moment you leave that room either for a quest or the village that you're located at the moment, that feeling crumbles instantly.
Oh yeah, because it immediately becomes you versus the monster. At that point, you have to fight this behemoth of a thing.
And it's not because there's a loading screen in the middle. It's because everything else is empty. You're still only allowed to make a group of 4 players whenever you embark on a hunt.
Yeah.
And as soon as you go to the village, poof, no people on site.
Yeah.
All NPCs. The social elements of Monster Hunter, even in world, exists, but it's very segmented.
Yes.
And due to that abrupt and constant disconnect, the game doesn't provide that MMO experience people crave, but they know it's almost there.
It's almost there. Also, it's kind of there in the quest board. So let's say either Safi Jiva, like the Safi Jiva quest is active for like the week or whatever, or the Kov Taroth quest is active for the week or the month or whatever. Even if you don't want to do the siege versions of those monsters, you can just go on the quest board and do the event quest for those monsters, and you know, you could search specifically for, you know, or at least for Kov Taroth. I don't think you could for Safi. Safi was exclusively just a raid, and what was it, master rank Kov Taroth, there was like an event quest that you could just spam if you wanted like your best elemental weapons and whatnot. And depending on a bunch of different factors, you can just sit there and search for it specifically and be like, oh, these guys are doing it, let me get in there. Oh, those guys are doing it, oh, let me get in there. And I don't know, I think that was pretty cool.
So, taking everything we just discussed into consideration, how close is Wilds from providing said experience? Here is when we encounter an issue though. Let's say for instance that all the parameters we used on the Genshin example are also applied to Wilds. We could see a bunch of people on each village. We could see them physically travel to their hunting areas, assuming the game is open world, of course. You could find random players hunting something during your travels, and you could even aid others on the fly.
Oh,
That does sound very much like an MMO.
that does sound like an MMO. I mean, because like what I would ideally like to see, I mean, I don't even know if I would like this or not, but like my knee-jerk reaction would be to have some sort of, you have the entire map of Dragon or fucking not Dragon's Dogma. Like you have the entire map of Monster Hunter Wilds, and let's say there's a couple like hub type cities. So like in this hub city, there's like, I don't know, like one for each corner of the map or whatever. And whenever you go to like visit each hub city, like a different set of players will, I don't know, spawn in or whatever to like do their things, like get food buffs, collect their stash, upgrade armor, weapons, whatever. Go to their little Argosy, buy and sell items and stuff like that. What else? Do their little planter thing, and you could do that.
But
You could do that in each like hub city, and you'll see everybody else around you doing the same things. But then once you like go to like the quest bro or the quest board, you're like, okay, I want to hunt this monster. Okay, well, it's like right over like here, or it's like outside the hub city. You go out, and depending on whether or not you like, I don't know, either like flare or allow people to join or not, is whether or not you will see other people in the world, is what I would say. I don't know. I honestly don't know how I would feel if I were to like be on my way to a quest. Like, okay, I'm fighting this guy, so I'm just going to beeline it right there. I don't know if I would stop and like see somebody else, or like, what if I only see like one person like trying to fight a monster? Would I go and help them? Or what if I see like 4 players fighting a monster? Would I go help and be like the 5th? How would that work? I don't know. I don't know. That's a good question, I think.
the issue here are the unplanned consequences of combining those social features on top of the Monster Hunter gameplay loop. Let me explain. In this franchise, a hunt is not only balanced around 1 to 4 people, it is also designed around that number. That is important.
Yeah.
Because allowing more players into the mix would for certain destabilize the experience Capcom wants players to have,
100%.
utterly trivializing the entire fight.
Yeah. If you get like 20 people fighting against like a Fatalis, understandably people would still die, but Fatalis would not hold the same level of, I don't know, iconicness, or like he wouldn't have the same presence if I saw like 20 dual blades just roll up, go pop demon mode and just do their little blender move, and then, oh, he fell over. It just wouldn't feel good to see.
Think about it. These games already get pretty easy with just 4 hunters, since the monster is taking damage from 4 different sources,
Yeah.
and it has to divide its attention between 4 separate entities. Adding more players would only emphasize those 2 factors and would do so exponentially.
Yes.
That is a problem because Monster Hunter as a whole is all about challenge. It's about the knight versus the beast, overcoming obstacles, surpassing struggles, becoming a better hunter.
Yep.
If we take that away, the entire game loses meaning.
Yeah. It completely trivializes the point of Monster Hunter. You're supposed to be learning like your weapon, what move is good in this situation, what move is good in that situation. Like if he does a fire breath this way, I gotta dodge that way and shoot him in the head, so on and so forth. It loses everything once you add like a kumite of hunters on top of a Teostra.
Defeating a monster is no longer an achievement, it's a grind, the bad kind of grind. And that kills motivation and the biggest appeal to the series.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, hunts are the most relevant portion of the game, It's what we do 80% of the time, and it's what we want to do 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Taking that out of the social equation would put Wilds on the same level as the previous generation titles. So we either do the former and risk trivializing the game entirely, or we do the latter and contribute almost nothing towards making the game an MMO. I believe that the best course of action Capcom could take in order to add as much social engagement to the game as possible without affecting the overall hunting experience is the following.
Ooh.
Let players interact at gathering hubs, the villages, out in the world, pretty much everywhere.
Oh yeah.
With one singular restriction. If, for example, you go on the quest and later on you find people fighting a monster in the vicinity, you can observe them, you can interact with them via gestures and all that stuff, but if you're not on their group, you cannot interact with the monster in any way, nor the hunters attacking it.
Huh. So you would see like 4 people beating up on some monster. The hunters could see you, but they're in like their own phase. But they can like, you can like see each other and everything, and like the monster wouldn't even like take you into account because like technically you're there, but it's just not registering because like whatever reason. I don't know. That still would like open up to like some sort of cheesing, I think. In some way, shape, or form, somebody could cheese that. I don't know, dude, because like what constitutes like keeping like the 4 people together in their group versus like, let's say 3 people are on the monster and some dude just like randomly decides to like run the fuck off, and it's like, okay, did it downgrade to like 3-player difficulty, but like this dude's watching and the monster but this guy has like no intention to fight the monster, he's just watching. Does like the technology automatically be like, oh, you're standing here, then you're in the group now, or whatever? Like, but like you, and like to see monsters and not be able to like swing on them or feel like any level of threat by them, I think it kind of takes away from I don't know, the monster's presence, I feel. I mean, I do get where you're going with it. I think it needs some more work though.
You can't deal damage, you can't give people items, heal them, buff them, distract the monster. If you're not part of the team, you are nothing more than a spectator. If there are slots available, you can request an invite, or they can just invite you first as well, and then you can help them with a quest. But outside of that, you are a ghost to everybody else around you. This is immersion breaking, it is true,
Yeah.
but I think it is a necessary sacrifice to obtain the best of both worlds.
It's the whole merely seeing other players fighting a monster. It's like, you know how like in some fighting games there's like just like a viewer mode or audience mode. Like if like there's 8 players in a mode, there's like 2 guys fighting, and then there's like guys waiting in line to fight. All like the 7 other guys can like view the match and just like watch or whatever. But you know, to the 2 players, they can't see them unless they go back to the lobby or whatever. It's like you need to have some sort of like either like lobby mode, maybe. I don't know. I'm just like throwing shit out there.
And even then, I still think this is a pretty good outcome.
Yeah.
Of course, it is very unlikely something of this magnitude is even considered by Capcom.
Probably. I mean, they're probably trying to think of something like that to do, to be honest.
But at the very least, it is food for thought for future titles.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? Is this a decent solution in your eyes?
Possibly.
Would you even want these changes in the first place? Let me know in the comments below. A huge thank you to my Patreon supporters for supporting the channel and the content I create. If you wanna join the ranks, you can do so for only $1 a month. The link will be in the description. Don't forget to leave your thoughts and opinions down below, join our Discord server, engage with the community, and I hope to see you all next time.
Nice. I like it. I dig it, dude. 100%. I would try to lean on like, because essentially you're taking like the map of like Dragon's Dogma and whatnot, and just giving the player a mount and like putting a bunch of monsters on the map. And like, I imagine there's like a quest board in the town. It's like, okay, go to the quest, okay, and then go mount up and then go chase the monster down and all that jazz. That's probably like the core game loop right there for Wilds. And then maybe they could implement some, I don't know, I'm just like bullshitting. Implement some sort of like, you know how they had the was it like the little rope thing to like pseudo fast travel in world from like level to level. I think that'd be cool. I don't know, whatever they do, man, I hope it's good. But yeah, I like the video. I like the fact that Monster Hunter is could be like implementing a couple more MMO like features in it, but I'm just curious to see how they'd be like implemented or whatever. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Pretty much it for me. I'll catch you guys on the next one. All right, see ya.